Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Canadian Multifamily Investing Insider Blog. I'm Pierre-Paul Turgeon, your host, and as you know, former Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, apartment building underwriter and successful full-time investor in apartment buildings as well. Well, in today's vlog post, I want to share a story with you. Last summer, one of my properties made the headlines, the TV news headline in Edmonton because of a spectacular fire rescue that took place at my building while it was on fire. A couple utility employees were driving by when they saw one of my tenants who lives in the middle unit there behind the reporter. She was about to jump off the balcony to escape her unit, which was engulfed in flames and heavy smoke. So obviously that made the TV news, and I had friends in Edmonton calling me to let me know that my building was on fire. The damage was quite significant, as a matter of fact. Whatever the smoke touches, it's very thick. Everything is blackened and the smell is just extremely strong. But what's incredible is that was actually the second fire that I had within a month. These are pictures from another building of mine where there was another fire located, luckily, in only one of the units. So the fire was contained within that unit, but again, significant damage there. And so I thought today I'd tell you a little bit about what kind of insurance coverage that you need, how that works. And especially in light of the fact that we are pretty much experiencing a crisis in Canada when it comes to insuring real estate assets and properties. This is an article from the Western magazine talking about condo owners in British Columbia, in Vancouver in particular, but it's the same phenomenon across Canada. I know for myself, my insurance renewals were back in March, and I had some premium insurance increases ranging between 30 up to 50%. So I hope the government does something about this, because we need to intervene. I mean, those insurance premiums are going through the roof. So what you need to understand about insurance coverage, first of all, is that it is mandated. Your coverage is mandated by your bank. Your bank will tell you exactly the kind of coverage that you need. So this is a sample from an insurance coverage requirements from First National Financial LP, which is one of the lenders that I use, and these clauses are standard. So first clause that you're going to have in your insurance coverage is an all risk, basically on the basis of physical loss of or damages to the subject property, right? Something else that is a standard clause, and by the way, I'm not an insurance broker or your lender, so you got to make sure that you cover that. You check with your lender, your banker, and your mortgage broker. But these are kind of the key clauses that you will find in your insurance policy. The second one is that the policy needs to cover or represent 100% of full replacement cost of the property. What do we mean by that? And that's something that I address in my course, as well as some of my previous blog posts. But essentially, if let's say you buy an existing property, the construction costs were sunk in many years ago at the original construction of the building. But of course, construction costs in today's value are significantly higher. All right, so accordingly, you need to make sure that the policy covers the cost of replacing the building if it burns entirely, which is not the case, by the way, for my properties. There was significant internal damages, but it's not a total loss. Okay, so that's something else that you need to have in there. You also need to have in your policy a rental income insurance coverage with a minimum period of indemnity of at least 12 months. I think another lender that I use, their policy or insurance policy requirements, I think it's up to 18 months. So the rental income loss has to cover 18 months. I got to tell you something. That building that you saw there behind the reporter is completely shut down. It's completely evacuated. Out of 20 units, 16 units are going to be redone, completely gutted out. I'll show you some pictures in a moment. So I don't have an income anymore, yet I still have to pay my mortgage every month and some utility costs that were incurred prior to the fire. So I'm very happy to have this kind of rental income loss coverage because I'm not going to have an income for at least 8 to 10 months is what I'm told it's going to take to upgrade the building and bring it back to good standards. You also need another standard clause in there is flood, insurance against flood. water and sewer backup coverage as well, which, by the way, I've had as well in my years as a multifamily owner. So those are some of the key clauses that you should have in your contract. Now, as they started renovating the unit, they made a few discoveries in the building. Yes, that's aluminum wiring, all right? What's cool about this is that when a building is significantly damaged, okay, they need to bring it back to to today's building code standards, all right? So aluminum wiring is not, at least in Alberta, and I think in many jurisdictions across Canada, is not a full-time or is not pursuant to the current building code. So the entire building needs to be rewired. The other thing that they discovered as well is that there was asbestos in the walls and the ceilings. Strangely enough, you usually find in older buildings like mine built in the 60s in the floors, but not in this particular case. But there's asbestos in all the floors, in all the walls and ceilings. So all the walls have to be taken down and again built with non-asbestos material. So basically, like I said, the entire building has been gutted down, and now it's down to the studs. Because they have to, reinstall new walls without asbestos and ceilings and everything. So for me, it's actually, I'm happy that none of the tenants have been injured in this fire because it's good news. I get to have a new building, 16 out of 20 units going to be brand new, up to today's standard, building code standards. So I'm going to have amazing units. So I'm taking advantage of that to actually upgrade the unit. So for example, specifically 2 items that I'm going to be upgrading are the kitchen cabinets to a higher grade, more durable, and the flooring, because I still had some carpeting in some of the units. Now it's going to be all vinyl planks, which is way more durable, which is also what tenants want nowadays. So I'm going to be making a capital injection, but the good news about that is I'm going to be able to increase my rents and thereby increasing my best friend, which is what? NOI, net operating income, and consequently increase the value of my apartment building. So the takeaways from today's post is basically when you get an insurance policy for your apartment building, the actual coverage, the details of the coverage, insurance coverage is going to be mandated by your lender. All right, so you're going to make sure that you work with your lender to find out what kind of coverage they require. In any case, they'll make you, they'll tell you what they need. But what's interesting about that is sometimes you need to get an insurance appraisal, because remember I said that you need to make sure that the building is insured for the full replacement value. Well, construction costs continue to go up. So once in a while, you pay $500 and you get an insurance appraisal, which is to determine what is the cost of rebuilding the apartment building if it were to burn down. So that's usually a cost of about $500. The other thing too that your lender may force you to do is get hire a third party, or actually it's going to be your lender hiring a third party to verify that your insurance policy covers all the items in the lender's insurance policy requirements. So some of the takeaways as well, one thing that we make sure with my property manager is that your tenants have tenant insurance, and that should be in their lease. Luckily, in both instances, both fires, the tenants were at fault and both tenants had tenant insurance. So I'm completely covered. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that none of the tenants are injured, especially my daughter, which lived in that apartment building. One of the one that suffered the big fire was also a tenant in there. But because of the pandemic, the good news is that she's at home because there is no in-person classes. She's a university student. So there you go, folks. That's for today's vlog post. I'm super excited to tell you that I'm going to have a workshop coming up at the end of October, October 30th. 31st and November 1st, so it's a 2.5-day workshop, or the Friday evening on November 30th, and then full day on Saturday, November 31st, and Sunday, November 1st. So I look forward to seeing you in the next vlog post. In the meantime, I wish you well and your families in these difficult times. Be well. Cheers.